What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer for the show, Logan Landers, and join me here today to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners 2024 team preview. My guy from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network, Jay McLovin. Jay, how you doing, my friend? And what do you think about these Sooners coming into this year? A lot of new look for them this year.
Yeah, absolutely, Logan. You know, just like Texas, Sarkisian got there right about the same time Venables took over at Oklahoma. So both of these coaches kind of got their respective jobs at Texas and Oklahoma right about close to the same time. And now, you know, they're going over the SEC at the same time. So it's going to be very interesting for both of these programs. But specifically with Oklahoma, you know, Venables, like I said, is in his third season. It's projected this year he could go 7-5. I mean, they got a pretty decent strength of schedule over there. Matter of fact, I think they come in around 13, if I'm not mistaken, on strength of schedule. I'm giving about a 4% chance, Logan, to win the SEC. I think the power rankings, they come in around 13. Last year's record, they did pretty well at 10-3, but they also just had the transfer of what's this, Gabriel or whatever, that went over to Oregon.
Dylan Gabriel, yep.
Thank you, Dylan Gabriel. So now they've lost their quarterback, and they got to take in a new quarterback. So that's kind of one of the questions we'll be having to see how he does. The strength of this team, quite honestly, is number one, they got 13 returning starters. Number two, they have a top 10 wide receiving core with a loaded defense at the second and third level. So that's just some good, solid things for Oklahoma. Like I said, the back seven of that defense is amazing. They got a great secondary with the linebacking core that's landed by Danny Stutzman. Is going to have a good season, I believe. The weakness of that team is the O-line and the play of the quarterback. How is he going to play? They added Hickman on the O-line from SMU. Like I said, Dylan Gabriel is gone to Oregon, so it really does kind of hurt their overall offensive growth. So we're going to have to wait and see how quarterback Jackson Arnold takes over. Now, he did have a fairly decent Alamo Bowl, which they did lose. He did 361. He had 2 touchdowns. The problem with him is he had 3 turnovers. So that's going to be a huge thing for Oklahoma is Dylan Jackson, and can he get those turnovers under control? They got to play Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri, Bama, and LSU, and that's the 5 losses I think they take. So for that reason, I got him going 7-5, and it should be interesting, Logan, to say the least, man. And Venable's first season in the SEC, so and Arnold's first season in the SEC at quarterback, so it's going to be interesting.
No doubt, man. And when I was doing my research about this team, I came across something, Jay, and I was kind of shocked by this, and that is that Oklahoma hasn't produced a first-team All-American since 2019. They haven't even done it this decade.
Wow,
we're 3 years in. And that's not like OU, you know? I understand if it's a smaller school, but I mean, this is Oklahoma we're talking about. This is a dynasty here. Right. This is one of the creme de la cremes when you talk about college football. That's why they were shifted over to the SEC all those years ago when they were doing great things out there with all those guys, all those great quarterbacks they've had go through their system. And now, I'm not saying they fall off a cliff. Obviously not like that, but they're not as dominant as we're used to seeing them in years past. And that's why a lot of people were, say, Brent Venables, come on now. We got to get a little bit further. Like, we're getting there. We're doing solid, but we need more from this program. Yeah. We need more from you to take us where we need to go. And that's ultimately, for every team, a national championship. But when I look at this team in Oklahoma, as you mentioned, they started off the year in 24 against Temple. They got Houston in September. But like you said, then you start getting the meat and potatoes. Then you start getting some SEC action. You get Tennessee, you get Auburn, and you get Texas. 3 straight weeks is this going to be. It's going to be rough. Then you got South Carolina and Ole Miss to round things out in the SEC action. Then you get a little bit of a break. You got Maine, right? You can beat up on Maine. But then, my God, Jay, then you got Missouri and Alabama. So it ain't an easy, hey, welcome to the SEC. You'll get easy teams. You'll get like Vanderbilt and some other squads. Nope, you're getting thrown in there with the Lions, with the big dogs. And like you said, with Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, that's the big question. how can the young man do under center? Does he have what it takes to lead this school, lead this program? We'll find out. Behind him, who they've got, Richard Sr. and Casey Thompson. So that could be a guy as well who could step in if things don't work out. Because, like I said, Arnold's still a young guy, so we'll see. But when I see Oklahoma, like you said, they've got guys like Davin Sawchuk, their running back, their wide receivers, and Andrel Anthony, Nick Anderson as well, Deion Burks, a nice junior player there, another senior. If you're left tackle, you brought on to help protect the QB. That's Michael Tarquin. And, of course, your tight end who you also brought over and got on, and that's Bauer Sharp, the junior out there, number 10. So I think the offense is going to be interesting, right? Then you look on defense, and you've got a lot of guys who are, they've been there, right? There are a lot of juniors, a lot of seniors on this program, guys like seniors, Ethan Downs, rather. Billy Bowman, of course. You got Robert Spears-Jennings out in the backfield doing some work. Got Danny Stutzman, as you said, Jay, your middle linebacker, who's patrolling and watching the field like a cop at night, just seeing what's going on, just looking over the field. And I think that Oklahoma's got some good pieces, Jay, but my God, this schedule is might eat them up season one. I expect a winning season, right? Do they get the 10 wins? Do they get to that 10-win plateau, or do they fall a little short, I'd say? I just don't see it, man. I mean, when you've got a lot of solid teams, going 10-2, 10-3, that's tough. So I think they'll take some losses as well. Missouri, Alabama, LSU, that absolute wrecking crew there to end the season. And guys are going to be banged up. You don't know if it's going to be starters, but they're going to be gassed. And that's when you have to bring it most, man. That's going to be some stiff competition. So I think ultimately Oklahoma has a good season. They have a winning season. They'll make a minimal bowl game, one of the thousands out there, right, that you get for – it feels like a little bit more of a participation trophy, I think, Jay, nowadays with all the bowls we got. But I think that's another topic for us for another day. I think ultimately, though, good season, not great. Are they a top 12 team? Not at this moment. I think they've got some good guys, but like we've said with a couple other teams so far this year, Jay, they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of guys who are upperclassmen, and now is kind of the in-between times of you've got all these juniors and seniors who are hopefully to be going to the league next year. This is our marquee, unless we just have to hope for another fresh batch of talent to come and step up, which they could do, because you know what, Jay? That's what we love about college football. All those young guys who we got no idea about that we recruit in high school that we look at and say, oh, this guy could be great. Or, oh, who the heck's this 2-star guy who's got 1,000 yards for me now? Right. That's the fun thing about college football. And that's what we're here to do on the channel, entertain you and educate you as well. And, Jay, appreciate you coming on the show, man, talking about Oklahoma. This has been our 2024 team preview. Drop a comment, Facebook and YouTube. How will this team do this season? We want to hear it in our comment section. And be sure to go download our podcast every single week. Guys, we'll talk